Hello everyone, welcome to the first lecture of the ruminant production system subject, and I have introduced myself. My name is Lomu from Adelaide. So this week there are things that the program that is according to the program that you need to we have a look at the status of the ruminant industry in Tonga and the Pacific, ruminant production in South Pacific region, importance of ruminants, and statistics of distribution. So I suggest that you use the online to find this information, internet. I suggest that you should go into tour readings on FAO website. FAO website, I think it's stand for what is that? Food, yeah, food and agriculture organization. Okay, so that's where you can get all this information about the animal, the statistics and distribution, and yeah. So FAO is an agency under United Nations. So United Nations, I think it's S. That's where you can get all this information, especially in the Pacific. In Tonga, you later this year, this semester, you're going to have a field trip to the Department of Agriculture or Ministry of Agriculture in Tonga, and you can get the animal statistics for Tonga. So it's either that one, or you can. There is another organization. It's called I think it's Australian. It's called HIOA, Australian Centre of International Agricultural Research. So HIOA is called Australian for Centre for Agricultural Research. Okay, that's where you can get some information about the animals distributions and populations in the Pacific. And if you see all this information, the populations of the animals, and you see Tonga, there is no sheep in there. If the sheep is equal 0 number, that means it's a very old information. In this one, it's probably he kept the one that I know is was the 1997, and this one here you can get something that is information that can be as late as 2018 or 19. So you have to be careful about what information you're going to take, because look at the number of sheep and number of cattle, beef. I bet when you look at beef and dairy, beef versus dairy cattle, when you look at those two, you can see that it's a lot more beef cattle in the Pacific than dairy. It's because it's much easier to raise beef cattle than dairy cattle. You know, milking cows is you have to start early in the morning and so on. So those different of this system is completely, it's very different here, even they are both cattle. Also their eating ability, in Tonga you can see eating meat, the demand for meat is higher than milk is lower. So alright, you can, in Tonga lots of people prefer to have meat, beef, than having milk. Okay, in Australia and the Western people, they always have breakfast with milk. They tend to have milk every day, but in Tonga we love meat. Yeah, so especially when they get into all these Tongan cultural applications, like wedding, funeral and birthdays, and feast, church stuff, church conference. So they have a lot of meat, especially pork, but pigs are not ruminant. So this one here, their prices in the market and their demand is very, demand in the market is prices is going right up. Yeah, so that's a brief explanation that I got you. This lecture is going to be very short, because the rest of your time for your class, I want you to go into, whether you got in the library or you're going to the lab, computer lab, and go online, have a look at those two websites. Alright, okay, so that's the first topic. Okay, so next one we're going to talk about the importance of ruminants. Okay. In Tonga. Okay. Yeah. So it's probably the same as every islands in the Pacific is probably this, they have the same, so I would say Pacific Island, Pacific Islands. Alright, so this next topic, you probably, if you've done the certificate level, you already have these ones. So it supplies finance for the household, for households, meat, and milk. Yeah, milk. You can use ruminants for weed control. Alright. The manure. Fertilizer. Alright, so and so on. You can go in. There are lots of. They use in some islands. They still use cows and bulls for transport. Transport, plowing. Okay, so it's a lot. There are a lot of things that you can find in small islands with all these things in there. But that's another readings that you can go and read. They all got some books, Introduction to Ruminants. They have all this information. Yeah, so milk you can find there. Some people they have goat milk, cow's milk, and goat's milk. So those two here, there's a big difference in here in the quality. So quality of goat milk is higher than cow's milk. So quality here is higher than here, than the cow's milk. It's only because it's easy to digest. Goat milk is very good for the babies because the fatty acids chains is shorter, so it's very easy to digest by the babies. So infants, I mean. So it's very. We talk about this later on during the semester, during the course. So, well, we have these. We have weed control. So we got manure. Got households. They're selling these, and to get money. There's one point that I want to point it out to you guys. In here in Australia, we have, say, this supposed to be Australia. This is the city there. So we city people there, and this one here are farmers farming. Alright, these people in the city, they don't have cows. They have to rely on people in the farms to supply meat and milk. But in Tonga and the Pacific, people here in the capital, say this one is Nuku'alofa, say for example, so this is Nuku'alofa. People who go and in the offices, they work for the government, they still have farms. They still have farms. They still own cows. Alright? They have goats. So, and so on. So they still have their bush allotment here. That's the difference. That when you go into New Zealand, farmers supply the meat in here. Okay, meat and milk. Meat, etc. Alright, so they supplied food into these people, but in Tonga, most people own their own cows and goats. They have their own meat. So it's very hard. What we're going to talk later is we're talking about the system of how you're starting a farm. So I'm talking about a real farm, not a backyard, because these people, they in Tonga, in Nuku'alofa, they just have a backyard farming system, where they have about 3 or 4 cows. So keep in mind, we're going to talk about this one. Alright, it's a farm that how you raise your we'll talk in a minute. We talk about inputs, process, and outputs. Alright, okay. How long is the video, Andrew? 18 minutes. Okay, maybe we've got 40 minutes, I reckon. Yeah, so by the way, my son Andrew is helping us. I haven't really set up my thank you, Andrew. Yeah, so it just give you an idea of what we're going to run the course for. Alright, so we run the course probably for about 40 or 50 minutes, the lecture I mean, and then I'll leave you the rest of the time to do some reading in the library. So one point that I want to point it out here, we have to look at the big picture. I'm not going to give you a question in like what I said before. It's no questions from what I've just said is coming on the exam. It's just to give you an idea where we're going from. Alright, we go, say we look at the big picture. That's what we'll, alright, we say, for example, you're gonna apply these how we view on this to any enterprise you have. Like for example, we've got cattle. This is I'll wrap this up because I need the area. So we've got cattle. So beef cattle. Alright. Alright, we have here the inputs, and then process. Oops, can't spell. Okay, and then outputs. Alright. Now, so inputs, we output there. What sort of inputs that we need for cattle, beef cattle? We need land. All right. We need a capital, a money. All right, to start all these. All right. We need a what else we need? Labor. All right. You can write this down on your own way, but this is how I write it. We need labor. We need cattle. This one is the okay. So this is all the inputs that we have. What we're thinking of, we're thinking of we've got land, we've got fencing material. All right. Alright, this one is going there as well. We're talking about processing later, but this is what it's a brainstorming of what you have to prioritize this one. This one is very important. It's a fixed cost that you still need to pay for. This one is variable cost. Labor you change sometime. Yeah, and cattle, it has to be, the cattle will do the process, and the output will have either meat or milk, and end up the net profit. Yeah, so this is how we look at it. With fencing material, we have feed. So nutrition, for beef cattle, it's pasture. Okay. So, and whatever you feed them with, some in New Zealand they have hay, they got other grains as well. We talk about feed lot later on in the course. So all these you got into the process. So if you got all these inputs, and then you process, you get this money, net profit, has to be when you got an output, you got something is called turnover. Turnover is the amount of money that you get from this process. Okay, net profit is when you take the total of turnover, take all these costs, and you get the net profit. And that's alright. This is what we're looking at, the system. Doesn't matter what system of process you get, this is going the steps to earn the money. Alright? Now we're gonna, so the problem is during this probably we've got here, we've got the management here. Okay, that's the management will manage this one to get this one. Alright, but then there's some unexpected stuff that coming here that you don't, while you process this, there's something that come in while you process this, something like diseases. Alright, so when disease come in, you have to come back here to the inputs and add medication. Alright, if you can't control these diseases, this one is going to be higher, net profit is going to be lower. Alright, diseases, this is how we look in at the system. We haven't talked the system yet, but we look at a whole picture of this will have to be in your plan. Alright, so it's a very good view of this one to put in your plan. Okay, what other things that coming in this during the processing? Something is unexpected. Thieves. Alright. that's that one there. It's a lot in Tonga, no? Yeah. Kau kai ha pulu, eh? Yeah. This one, while you manage this one, processing, this one will take what you expect that they stealing cows in Tonga, so you have to add in more security. Okay, so the more things coming in here, the more you're going to spend in here. Security guards, okay, it's not the cost that here, there's some cost that is unexpected during processing and management that it will take off the net profit and you don't know it. So one thing is big thing in the Pacific, church stuff. Alright, church applications, I reckon, or maybe I'll say cultural applications. How long is the video, Andrew? Alright, I'll be finished in a minute. Okay, so cultural applications. Alright, maybe, I don't know if the right words, but this will go in funeral in the family. Okay, we'll take funerals, weddings, and and birthdays, and people just donate their cows into this stuff without having any money at all. If they have a funeral in the family, that's yeah. So most of the people in Tonga, they just farming just for these kawenga, you know. Yeah, so it's not really important, this one, but I just want to point it out. So what else will come in here? So when you go into outputs, there's either, so color, maybe blue. Okay, the outputs could be in the form of milk, meat, etc. Yeah. That's good. So, in some areas that I'm thinking of, it's one of the output is manure. This is a byproduct. How do you spell byproduct? Yeah. BY? Hey? Byproduct. Yeah. Hey? Yeah, BY? I think it's, yeah. It's byproducts. It's something that you don't expect to run in a business, but it's yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll find out later. But something like that, I reckon. Is that right? Not BI, not BY. Alright. Byproducts is from manure. You've got something that's very useful that biggeries, they pigs, pig farm, they have create this and have the methane gas. And that's a big help in the outputs, alright, in the profit, I mean, net profit. Okay, so this one is when you do pigs, big farms, they have methane gas. Methane gas is a type of gas that you got from pig manure, but they have methane gas in all farm animals manure. So okay, so this is the highlight of what we got, what we're going to do when we talk about systems. Alright, okay, well done. One more thing before we wrap up this. Okay, so one thing that I want you to know, SWOT analysis is very good. I've seen you, I think a lot of you in Hango doing, especially the staff, I think that when they participate on workshops, that's something it's called SWOT analysis. Okay. SWOT analysis is stand for strength. So S, strength, hope my spelling is that right, Andrew? Yeah, strength. W is stand for weakness or weaknesses. Alright. O is stand for opportunities. How do you spell those, Andrew? Opportunities, is that right? It's a long word.
Yep.
Good. Alright, and then SWOT. T is stand for threat. Okay. Okay, here you go. That is very good to have a look at before you start a business. Alright, you do a SWOT analysis. So if I can give you an example of beef cattle in at Kenani, alright. Say, if you look at beef cattle in Kenani, you have to look at what strength of Kenani is, alright. What is the strength that, so you can find it by just look at by looking at the land in Kenani. What is your strength, do you reckon? So you have to ask yourself what you're going to get from Kenani. So it's the land, big land, a huge area, big area. Okay, one of the biggest area in HIOA, maybe in Tonga. So that's the strength of Kenani. Alright, the land. You look at Kenani, got the water system, spring water. Maybe it's free. Okay, spring water. The spring. Okay, so at Kenani you don't need to build up tank. There's free water just coming from the hills, and so on. That's your strength of Kenani. What is the weakness? You look at it, a lot of bushes, weeds. Okay. What else you can thinking that is a weakness in Kenani? So opportunity. What's the opportunity, do you reckon? You have to ask yourself. Because it's owned by HIOA. HIOA is an agricultural college, so you have a free access. You got a good access to the information about the systems. So have access to agricultural info. Okay, the updates, whatever. So Okay. HIOA is teaching all this, so you don't need to go and ask someone else or copy the farms or whatever other farmers. You just have the information from the library in HIOA and you go and start it. So that's the opportunities. And then you can, I bet that some people thinking that free labor because of the students do the work. Alright? The students always help or doing, so it could be a strength, but I reckon that should be a weakness. Why? Because students are untrained, so or whatever. So it's something that you have to look at. It could be a free labor to have is a strength. The students, they help, or is a lot of stuff, but because they are untrained, maybe it's untrained. Is that right, Andrew?
Yep.
Untrained students.
Untrained is
ED. Students. So, in some points they're good in helping, but it could be a weakness because they're untrained. So, yeah, that's what points here. What threats that we have here? Threat is like what we say, could be a cyclone, because Tonga always have cyclone. Thieves, etc., etc. Okay. So before we start the system, production systems next week, we already talk about the inputs process, we talk about SWOT analysis, we have run the importance of ruminants in Tonga and so on. So okay, I think that's about it. So if you have questions, please email me, and yeah, thanks everyone for your time, and good luck for all these, a lot of readings. Reading is important for you, so you go and find your own notes. Alright, and yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Andrew.